Well, what's going on? Happy Thursday to you guys. I know I'm a little late today. I was having some technical difficulties jumping on here, and so a couple other things I wanted to accomplish before we jumped on. But I'm so excited that you guys are watching live and/or on the replay. Before we get into too far into this, I'm going to make sure you drop down below where you guys are watching from today. I went back from last week's, and it was amazing. We had 47 different locations of people that checked in, everywhere from the UK over to California. There's people all over Canada looking to drop down into the US, and lots of people locally. And I think that is a really cool mix of people. So make sure you let us know down below where you guys are watching from today. I hope you're doing well today. It's kind of like a weird deal in Orlando right now. It's a chilly in the morning and it gets to be kind of beautiful. I'm enjoying it. But today we're talking about what's going on with Orlando real estate. There's lots of things to talk about, from real estate agent commissions, which is a massive story, massive like tectonic shift in how the real estate industry may be going forward and maybe not. We're going to talk about rental prices here in Orlando. Those are starting to slide back, and I'll give you some ideas of maybe why that might be. We're going to look at all different kinds of different things with real estate construction. But really, the big thing I like to do here on these shows is talk about you guys. What are you interested in? Because the show is great. I like to chat with you guys, but for really the most thing I enjoy is answering your questions and get to know you guys a little bit more, and questions that you might have. We've got Denise checking in from Savannah, Georgia. I love Savannah. So good to see you. We got Ben checking in from West Virginia. Beautiful. We've got, I'm going to butcher your name, Mr. Morano checking in from Ecuador. That is incredible. I so appreciate you hanging out. We got Vince hanging out in New York. Was originally where you're hanging out, but now you're hanging out in Claremont. That's so cool. In a year. That's so good. I love that. Vicken hanging out in chat room. It's good to see you. John checking in from New York. Another one from Eric from New York. Debbie from PA. We got lots of people checking in from the chillier parts of the country, and I totally appreciate why that might be. We got Miami Coffee checking in, my friend checking in, Chris from Miami, appreciate you. Laura from Virginia, and just, definitely let us know down below where you're watching from. And appreciate that very much, just to let us know, help me kind of curate some of this content around you guys, because that's what really matters is y'all. All right, so let me get rid of this banner here, and although keep checking in down below. What do we got going on today? All right, so first thing I want to talk about is rental prices. This is an interesting thing because I've been talking about this for the past 2 or 3 years. As rental prices and as things continue to go on, where we have more and more apartment buildings and more neighborhoods coming online, prices for rentals will eventually level off and or decline. And I've been saying that often, especially if you've ever driven anywhere in Central Florida. You see new buildings popping up everywhere, 3, 4, 5-story buildings, and rentals kind of going everywhere. And so you look, Central Florida rent prices have decreased for the first time since 2001, according to WESH2 News. They kind of dove through here. According to University of Florida, there were 450,000 people that moved here in 2021 and 2022. But what did that cause for rental prices? Well, monthly median rental went up from $1,230 per month, which was, now looking back, really affordable in 2021. The following year, it jumped by 27% to $1,568. Last month, it jumped up to over $1,600. And then over the past, so far this year, we've got dropped down 4% year over year. And they kind of go on to talk about the reason they believe this is because we had so many people move here during the pandemic. And now we're back to more like cyclical. There's still plenty of people moving here. They're still estimating roughly 1,000 people per year that are moving, or sorry, per day that are moving to Florida net. And so we need new apartments to keep up with these people. Now, new apartments and or new communities. Now, we're starting to see more and more communities finally come online. It was a bit of a delay, in my opinion. When I looking back, like how slow builders were to adapt to new developments, and then interest rates jumped up and they got really nervous. They said, hey, we don't want to have a ton of land out here where we've got all of these developed lots and no buyers. And so we look over the past year, and there's been obviously a slowdown in the market. But as interest rates start to come down, as buyers start to get used to these new interest rates, we're having more and more builders start to come online. So we have new neighborhoods come online, new developments. We've got more apartments. And so that's going to temper pricing. And that's a good thing, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think in that down below. Going back to over here, we got Chris the Flex. I like it. I like the picture. You got a hat going on. So good. My opinion on Mount Dora. Chris, I have long thought that I may retire to Mount Dora. It's not that far away. There's some gorgeous lakes over there. The downtown is probably my favorite downtown outside of Winter Park. The downtown Mount Dora area is the most just epic, picturesque, plenty to do, plenty of shops. I just love it. I think it's really great. The downtown water area there is amazing, but the pricing in Mount Dora is still really affordable because of the location. It's just some people think it's a little bit farther away. Other people think it's absolutely perfect. We've got people on our team that live in Mount Dora and just rave about it. And so, yeah, I'm a big Mount Dora fan. I think it's really great. And when you start looking at some of the new developments coming to that area, as the city council hopefully starts pushing some of the pro development growth out there, I think it's going to be even better as things go along. Holly's checking in from Haines City. I appreciate that very much. We got Frederico says, hello from Brownstown, Texas. I was in Orlando last week. Our family is getting into a property over there. We would have to be short-term rental approved, but also the plan is to make it a full-time future home. You know, we hear that a lot. A lot of people that will say, hey, I'm going to come to Florida, buy something that I can use 1 or 2 months out of the year, or maybe 1 or 2 weeks out of the year. And then in the future, I'll use that as my full-time residence. And so one thing to know about this, Federico, is if you're looking at some of these short-term rental neighborhoods, some of them don't allow you to live full-time. Sometimes they don't have mailboxes. Sometimes they don't have schools that connect to those neighborhoods. And other times they do. And so make sure you're paying attention when you're going through some of those questions, because it could kind of jam you up in the future. If you're if you're looking to move there full-time and all of a sudden you can't, that would be a huge bummer. Let's talk about what might be the biggest story in real estate this past year, or sorry, since I've been doing this for the past 20 years, it's probably one of the biggest stories. So we got realtors agree to axe the 6% commission in NAR lawsuit settlement. This is probably the largest thing I've been asked about over the past week. People are in my DMs over on Instagram, over on Facebook, emailing me like, what do I think about this? Well, for one, the whole article, realtors agree to axe 6% commissions in NAR lawsuit settlement, it's kind of an interesting topic because there was never any fixed amount. 6% is kind of like a weird made up number that everybody in the media always quotes. And yet you look at the average commission nationwide, it's more like 5%, 5.5% often. And those are split between 2 agents. And so what does any of this even mean? If you guys saw what's going on with this lawsuit, it basically means the Department of Justice, Biden's Department of Justice said, hey, we believe that commissions are artificially held up because the seller is also paying the buyer's agent. Now, when you buy a house before, you're not really paying all of the commissions. You were getting to purchase a house and then the seller would help pay for your agent on the way in. And so this was on the MLS. We could see what the sellers were offering agents, and we could see, hey, this person's offering 2%, this person's offering 4%. And then we would let our clients know, hey, listen, this is kind of what it is. If our fee is covered or not. Now they're basically saying that those fees are not allowed to be on the MLS. And instead of it saying that it's a buyer's agency commission, it can be the seller offering a concession. It can be a concession to the buyer to use however they want. And so, the long adage, I get in my comment section, oh, realtors are overpaid. I'm not going to answer that for you today or not. I think that some agents are overpaid. I think some agents are underpaid. The average realtor in America makes like $40,000 a year. So it's not like everybody's out there getting rich in this business. I think that the longer you're in it and the more value you bring to your client, the more you should get paid. And so it's going to be interesting to see how a lot of this shakes out, because no longer is it free to use a buyer's agent. It never was. It was just how it was all kind of structured is now changed. So when you work with a buyer's agent, whether you're in Orlando or you're in Texas, doesn't matter. You're going to sit down and say, okay, I want a buyer's agent because it makes sense to work with a buyer's agent. If you're working with the listing agent and you've never done this before and you're moving to a new area and you don't know anything about it, that's like going to court and using the same attorney as the person you're going against. It doesn't really make a ton of sense. So the way that's going to go forward is you're going to work with the buyer's agent and you're going to say, okay, how much do you charge and what's your experience and are you the right agent for me? And then you're going to have to enter into agreement. Come July, when this actually goes all through, you're actually going to have to you're actually going to sign something with a buyer's agent. Before, it was kind of like the Wild West. It was you'd show up to a house, you'd call, hey, show me 123 Main Street. The new like law is going to be that you're not allowed to work or see a house with a realtor unless you're under an agreement. Now, that could be a 1-day agreement. It could be a 1-year agreement. It doesn't matter. But if they're going to show you a property, you have to sign an agreement. So those kind of things are going to change. Now, the one thing that a lot of this insinuates is that the pricing of homes might fall and that commissions might fall. Well, here's the deal. If the seller is if the seller is going to offer a concession to a buyer or a buyer's agency fee, either way, it doesn't really change a lot of what's actually going to happen. I don't think pricing is going to fall because of this at all. If I was a seller, I would be like, hey, I might be able to save a little bit of money by not having to pay 2 agents. Or if I want to work with 90% of the buyers in the market, which statistics say that 89% of all buyers are working with an agent, then you're probably going to offer out some concession to a buyer and say, hey, between you, me, and the listing agent, we are going to make sure that the buyer's agent's taken care of. So it's a lot of noise and things will change over the next 90 days. But I think at the end of the day, this actually hurts some of the FHA and VA buyers that might not have the finances to be able to use an agent. So instead they'll forego maybe and go directly to a listing agent, or you're working with 10 listing agents, which will be an interesting thing. So my team and I, we're pretty much ready for this. We've been having these conversations with our clients and saying like, hey, here's what I do for you. We think that we provide some of the best value out there in regards to overall knowledge of the area and what we provide our people. Here's what I charge, and here's how you're going to pay for it. You know, sometimes the seller's going to pay a little bit for a concession. Sometimes the listing agent's going to pay something, and it's just going to be called something different. So when you see these kind of things right here, that's what's going on from my heart to yours. So hope you're doing well. If you have any questions on that, I'm like, love to riff on this stuff. Let me go back over here because we had 20 different questions come through. Lenny says, watching from Queens, moving to Orlando in July. Any idea of who could help me with my family find a rental? So Lenny, we actually have we don't do rentals in-house. Rentals are done differently in Orlando than they are in New York. But we do have a rental management program with an affiliate that we refer people to. So feel free to reach out and we can make that connection. Holly says she's checking in from St. Louis, wishing you were there. I believe that you wish you were there. I totally believe that. I like St. Louis. It's a cool little area. Let's see. Soul says, hey, do I think that it'd be a good idea to wait until the next community in Sunbridge and get there early instead of buying something now that they're almost sold out? So I think you're looking at the timeline for like, I think Sunbridge is going to be great. I think you got to look at whether you're buying one of the last houses in the development of like Westland Park, or you're waiting for the next one. I think your base is going to be kind of the same. It just comes down to, is now the time to buy for you or not? Interest rates, we're going to talk about that next, what's going on with interest rates and how that might affect Orlando real estate. But I think that because you're in the Sunbridge area, it's not like you're like Sunbridge and then maybe the next community a mile away. Because you're all within the same area, I would just buy something that makes the most sense for you. Pay attention to those builder credits and or incentives. We can help you walk through a lot of those and figure out. We sold a lot of stuff in Sunbridge, and pretty excited about it. Lanique, you says, I'm late, but I'm here. You know what? I was late, but I'm here. So we're together, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. Oh gosh. D says, hey, where do I think Ken, where do you believe the best location for single family home or town rentals, not necessarily a vacation rental, but a year-round rental, Winter Garden, Claremont, Mineola, Groveland? So D, I think for one, you got to look at your budget. I'm a big fan of some of these like emerging areas where you can still get a lot for your money, but you're not going to be shortchanged on rental income. And so if you're doing this for a long-term investment, you want to look for growth areas, because I want, as an investor myself, I want an area that's going to have some appreciation, but then obviously cash flow. And so some of these areas, Groveland, for example, might not cash flow yet because the rentals aren't there. And so if you're paying cash, maybe that doesn't matter to you. But if you're getting a mortgage and you're looking at the overall cost of money right now, you probably should look in some of these more popular areas like Claremont, Winter Garden, Lake Nona, and then some of the downtown areas I'm really bullish on. More and more people are wanting to move to downtown. We're getting more and more of those calls, and they don't want an apartment. They want a house or a townhome. And so that's what I'd be paying attention to if I were you. Let's see. Kristen says, we got this. We've always led with our value proposition first, similar to what we do with sellers. Yeah, exactly. It's the craziest thing, like our real estate world here in America, because when you sit down with a seller, right, you get a listing agreement signed and you say, hey, we're going to work for this amount of money and this is how long our agreement lasts. And for that, we're going to do all of these things for you. And that's been like how it is forever. But on the buy side, it was just kind of the Wild West. It was like, hey, there was no agreement many times. And so in some areas of the country there were. I know Seattle, I was talking to somebody from North Dakota. They've been having to sign agreements with their agents for three or 4 years. And there's other places in the country where this has been standard practice. Well, now it's going to be across the whole country. So kind of an interesting thing. Chris checking in from Arizona. I appreciate it. Jelly's World says, has somebody who's possibly going FHA route, not having a buyer's agent is scary. And obviously my interest, but it won't be a priority over, as obviously my interest won't be a priority over the seller or the builder. That's right. And it's interesting because, builders are the biggest real estate agent fans. They're the ones that are constantly reaching out to us. And some builders will tell us that like 90% of their buyers come because of an agent. They don't really have an amazing mechanism for marketing. And so their marketing is working with real estate agents. And so builders are like, this isn't really going to be a big deal anyways, because their rates were never really advertised. And so new construction is one thing. But on the resale side, it's just going to be a different thing and really checking out who you're working with. And again, like I think that different levels of real estate agents, depending on the value they provide, are going to be able to charge more. And the new agent who it just got licensed that doesn't really know what they're doing, maybe shouldn't get paid what a lot of the other people are. So it's kind of an interesting deal. Vicken says, I should check out the Conrad Paradise Hotel. Conrad, I'm actually going to go grab dinner at the Conrad not like in 2 Saturdays with some friends. So I'm really excited to finally check out the Conrad. I've checked out a lot of other places and Evermore, but haven't been able to check it out too much. JJ says, hey, Kenny P, you already know HC. I'll have some news soon about the golf course in HC. There's a meeting taking place on 325 with Park Square. You'll get the first scoop. So funny, man. We have JJ, we have a whole Slack channel and with my whole team. And we mentioned you because my friend Dylan, who's on our team, you two are like the biggest Hunters Creek fans there are. And more and more people are reaching out to us about Hunters Creek because, you guys are doing such a good job throwing it out there. But yeah, it'll be interesting with Park Square to find out what happens with the golf course, because listen, I mean, a disheveled golf course is not good for home values. And so would condos or townhouses improve that? I don't know. It's funny. There's a place over in Winter Garden, Stony Brook, and the golf course died out and now has been purchased and revitalized and it's looking beautiful. But for a while there, people were like, would we rather have townhomes and apartments or a golf course that's shut down with 4-foot tall grass? Like, which one would you rather have? I'm actually curious if you're watching this, like, what do you guys think? Because to me, I'm trying to think. If I bought a house and I saw a golf course in the background, whether it looked great or not, I wouldn't want anybody behind me. But that being said, like a broke down old golf course isn't awesome. And so like, maybe having something nice with some nicer amenities and some sort of concession from Park Square or whomever it is that owns the golf course would be a good thing. But it's all interesting. What's up, Joseph Shively from Belle Isle? Good to see you, my friend. Joseph, OG on our real estate team here. Lives over in the Conway area, that beautiful lakes area, man. Goodness gracious. Holly says Dylan was our agent and we love him. So do I. That's so good to hear. I'll make sure that we tell him you said hi. All right, let's go back over to what's going on with real estate interest rates, because obviously affordability is on the minds of so many people. So this happens March 20th. This is today. Yeah. So Fed officials still see 3 interest rate cuts this year, which made stocks go insane. But basically, they're talking about interest rate hikes or rate cuts, not hikes, this year, 3 more times. Now, if you look at Fannie Mae, they came out and they predict higher for longer, essentially what they predicted, that earlier this year, they thought interest rates were going to drop down into the 5s. Now they're saying that, hey, it'll probably drop down into the low 6s. And so, every week, I got to figure that out with this camera. So originally they were thinking it's going to be in the fives. Now they think it's going to be somewhere in the sixes. And with the 3 rate cuts that the Fed announced potentially today, this will probably line up with that. The rates right now are kind of in the high sixes, and to see something in the low sixes would definitely help with affordability. Now it looks as though, if you look at every study that I've read, that either income needs to go up like 20%, or rates need to come down into like the low fives for this all to start feeling a little bit better for people. So going back to builders earlier, which we were just talking about, lots of builders are offering incentives to buy down rates if that's something you're into. So lots of different options out there. But Bree Tucker, we were just talking about Mount Dora, and we were talking about you, another one of our agent partners checking in. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Bree Tucker, let us know in the comments, what is your favorite part about living in Mount Dora? Because people need to know. Says just oh gosh, Clavius, I'm going to say, goodness, I hope I didn't butcher that. Says, hey, Ken, I just secured a house with her Kristen, who's checking us up above in Horizon West, moving in September. Thanks for all you guys do. Of course. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us and working with us. Horizon West, welcome. Welcome to the crew, the Horizon West crew. Grace Pelly checking in from Horizon West, another one of our team members. I so appreciate that. All right, so what's going on? What else is going on with real estate here in Orlando? I pulled its report up, and I look at this every single week, but this shocked me today. So this is from the Realtor Association. They basically take all of the MLS data that we have, and they crunch it down based on price points and areas and all of these different kind of metrics, and give us real estate agents an idea of kind of where we're headed as a market. And my job as a real estate agent is to let you guys know, like, are things going up? Are they going down? Are they flat? What the heck is going on? One of the things I was telling somebody the other day, they're like, well, in 2024, real estate agents, there's so much of the stuff that's already out there and done and made easier for you. I kid you not, half of my job is overcoming disinformation, because there's so much out there that people are scrolling and reading through, and you hear so many conflicting things. My job is to like go be data for you guys, take away some of the emotion, and try to just really see clearly to help you make the best decisions. And sometimes, like I told somebody 10 minutes ago in our live here, like, whether you should buy now or not, it's up to you and your situation. Like, our goal is to sit down and, based on where you're at, help you make better decisions, because it's not always a good time to buy, and it's not always a good time to sell. It's really has to do with you and where you're at. So let's talk about this. This is the morning quarterback. So list price, average list price in Orlando. This is for single family homes only. And this is going to be in the 5-county area, the Osceola, Orange, Polk, Seminole, and Lake counties. Average list price today is $556. And the average final list price. So this is the list price that once somebody finally gets to the zone that they need to and get an offer accepted, you'll notice right above it says 576. This is because so many people are still overpricing their homes a bit and are having to reduce their price to get it to where it needs to be. And so you look at the average sales price is 541, which is up quite a bit year over year. Now, this is the other thing I pay attention to right here is months of inventory, 2.94. So if we want a beautifully balanced market where like prices aren't going crazy and they're not falling, but they're just real steadily going up, that 2 to 3% a year, like a really healthy kind of number, maybe pacing with inflation. That's kind of what we're hoping to do. On average, that means we're trying to get to that 3-month supply. And that's where we're at as of right now, as of today. But that doesn't always tell the full story, because you look here, in that 250 to 300 band, it's a 2-month supply. 3 to 4, it's a 2.5-month supply. 4 to 5, it's a 2.5-month supply. And then you start seeing where it's like over 1 million. That's when it really starts to get different. Over 1 million, you've got a 5-month supply of homes. And so if you're looking in Orlando at almost double the average sales price, you have more homes to choose from. Although the stock right now is still pretty low. There's really not an absolute ton of amazing homes over $1 million. And so some people are sitting back and waiting, or they're building, because this data right here only shows what's going on with resale homes, not with new construction. So on average, the average home, I guess, if you will, its average square feet is 2,179 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Average days to listing contract, meaning like it took 60 days essentially to get an offer accepted. So it takes roughly 2 months or so to get your home under contract. So if you're ready to sell this coming year, expect to be on the market potentially for 30 to 60 days before you accept an offer, and then another 30 days to actually close a property. So something to think about when you're going through there. Let's see. Going back to Bree Tucker and what's going on with Mount Dora. She says she loves the large lots, the downtown Mount Dora area, and how close it is to 429. She's a 30 minutes from downtown Orlando, 45 minutes to Disney. Hard to imagine something going wrong there. Again, Lakeshore Drive. If you've never been to Mount Dora, do yourself a favor, spend some time in Mount Dora. Go check out the farmers market. Go check out some of the different restaurants down there, and then go take a drive down Lakeshore. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And then if you're thinking like the same houses over on the Butler chain or heck, even the Harris chain would probably be double or triple the cost. And so that's why I think a lot of people like it. Let's see. Frederico, I like the question. This is good. I'll take it. What's my favorite park from Disney? What is your park from Disney? Let's see. There we go. He's changed it. Hey, Ken, what's your favorite Disney park? There we go. I think Hollywood Studios. For me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love Pixar. So the Toy Story area is great. I love the old nostalgia. It feels old to me. But Tower of Terror is great. Trying to think food wise in comparison, but Magic Kingdom, I know there's nothing like, the history and like the overall, overall feeling you get when you go into Magic Kingdom. So that's a tough one, especially if I'm with my kids. So maybe that's the answer. If I'm with my kids, it's Magic Kingdom. If I'm with my wife and some friends, Hollywood Studios. Let's see. Dave says the new Costco in Claremont is amazing. Was there out there today, and had finally had Foxtail coffee in Winter Park this weekend. And you're right, it was really good. Dave, you know what, man? I still haven't got a sponsorship. I've got a Starbucks that's sitting over there. The ice is melting because I completely forgot about it, which is pretty typical for me. But Foxtail's good. I really enjoy it. Oh gosh, there's somebody here that always is like razzing me about Pine Hills, and why don't I talk more about Pine Hills? And I said to them, once there's something to talk about in Pine Hills, I will talk about Pine Hills. And yet there just hasn't been any development news going on there. And so let's talk about it, because there's actually something going on in Pine Hills. So construction to begin soon. This is from our friends over at the Growth Spotter. This is my buddy Tyler, who actually wrote this article. He said construction to start set to begin soon on the final phase of affordable housing project in Pine Hills. So apparently this is 450 affordable units. Once it's completely built out, they're all going to be affordable development. And if, for those of you that haven't watched the show before, maybe just a good reminder, anything affordable housing in Orlando or in Florida, it has to be 50% of the average income, all the way up to 100% of the average income. So take that for what it's worth in terms of what affordable actually means. But the first two phases of Emerald Village, which are located at 3124 Pine Hills across from Everins High School, the Miami-based Related Group, and they're just a massive developer all over the state. They're basically going to build 450 affordable units for this. So really interesting when you look at overall development in that area. I mean, apartments, like I mentioned beginning of the show, are going everywhere in Central Florida, but even Pine Hills is seeing some development, which heck, the real estate there has to be rather inexpensive. So I get it. Dave says Everest is also moving some dirt today. You know what? I feel like they move dirt everywhere. If you're like, Everest is where the new Misk Hotel is going to be, where the new Nickelodeon Hotel is going to be, and there's a bunch of medical and a bunch of other great things there. But every day I move there, I drive by there, there's 10 different bulldozers out there moving dirt. So I'm excited to see once it finally comes online and maybe start seeing something go vertical, because until then, it just looks like they're paying somebody to move some dirt around. It's very weird. Christopher says, thanks for doing the show. Looking at a condo purchase for personal use with direct access to Disney property, no highway. Is there anywhere you would suggest to look in addition to Celebration? Yes, Chris. I've got a great one for you, actually. Let me pull it up here. So I would check out in Windermere. There's a little spot over here that I think is undervalued. If you're looking for a close to Disney and you're looking specifically for condo, not townhome, but let me pull this up for you real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. Windermere, condo. I'm actually kind of surprised at how affordable these still are, even with the HOA fees and everything like that. So this is the lake. This is over at Lakeside. This is like right 535, kind of the back end of Magic Kingdom. But this is what they look like. Let me get rid of, sorry, get rid of your comment here so people can see. So this is Lakeside at Lakes of Windermere. So this is, this one's currently listed at 325. It's almost 1,200 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. Been on the market for 6 days, but these things are, they're built in 2009, so they're fairly new. Many of them haven't been updated. You look at this one, it's like new flooring, new countertops. And some of these are selling for, I believe, if I remember, yeah, here we go. This one, 304, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, exact same unit I just showed you, 320, 345. And then it kind of goes up from there. But honestly, I think that is like a slept on community. The HOA fees here, let me see. HOA fees are like in the 400s. So like, that's the one thing that keeps people away maybe a little bit. But if you're looking for lock and go and you're looking for literally like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so from Magic Kingdom, that's a really great spot. And the HOA is cheaper than Celebration. And you got a ton of shopping right out front of your front door. 535 runs right there, and Lakeside is right across the street. You got like Kiki's and the dry cleaners and car wash, kind of like everything you'd need for creature comforts, for sure. Dave says he's checked out 4 Seasons and sampled bars there. Very nice. It's amazing how close you are to Golden Oak Homes there. Yeah, you're right there. I mean, you're right inside of Golden Oak, so it's kind of wild. Speaking of condos, if you want to be really close to Disney and live on Disney property, you're going to have the access to the Golden Oak condos. I've got a reel coming about that here shortly around like because there's actually construction finally going on with those condos. I'm excited to finally hear what they're actually going to list for or sell them for. But if you wanted to live on property and you've got a few $1,000,000 to spend, that could be an option. Chris the Flex says, let's see, give some thumbs up for my great work. Oh man, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Miami Coffee says, talk amongst yourself. Who's into coffee today? I'm 3 cups here. That's about 3 cups is what I got. Tuesday's got a great question. Hey, have you ever encountered sinkholes, and which area are not sinkhole prone? There's actually a whole map on this for Florida. If you look at like the Spring Hill area, there's more and more. All right. So if you look at the Spring Hill map, there's a ton out that way. But here we go. Check this out. So Orlando, these are all little sinkholes, and these could be little tiny ones, or they could be man-made. They could be just from normal old kind of stuff, but like they exist. Have I seen like cars get swallowed up in the day-to-day life here in Orlando? No. Are there some farther outside of Central Florida? Yeah. You can get sinkhole tests done. You can get sinkhole insurance. There's all that kind of stuff like that. But I would say for the most part, not something that we typically worry a ton about, if that makes sense. Got a bunch of other questions that I completely missed. Alt, trying to go back here. Oh gosh, totally messed these up here. There we go. Kim says, hey, I'm working with Stephanie B, and we're planning on moving to Florida in July, coming down in June to look at condos for me and my 4 kids. We're very excited. Well, that's awesome. July should be perfect time if you want to see exactly how hot Florida gets. We moved here like July or August of 2016. And I remember looking at my wife, like, what did we do? Because we had signed on the contract to buy our house in January when it was like perfection. And we got here, we're like, this is hot. This is definitely not snow weather. This is kind of insane. Ruben says, what are they building at Flamingo Crossing? What aren't they building at? It looks like it's going to be a gas station. I was just there today grabbing a coffee, believe it or not. And the way that everything's set up there, I believe it's going to be a coffee or a gas station there. I'm trying to think of what else you're thinking about Flamingo Crossing that they're building. I also tried the pita place over there at Flamingo Crossing. I've been sleeping on that joint. I don't know if my friends that are watching in the Horizon West area, you've been to that pita place over there. It's good. Good times. What else we got over here? Talk about. Here we go. This is one that we talk about often, going back to real estate and what's going on. So last week I showed you guys an overall market view of what's going on. And this is something that I've shown now for 3 years of going live. And I think it's a really good indicator of what's going on with our overall real estate market. And so when you look at the number of new listings hitting the market, which is good, like we need more inventory. The more inventory we have, the more people we can hopefully get off the market or off the fence of buying. So we had 1,529 new listings hit the market over the past week. And in that same exact time, we had 1,506 houses go pending. So going back to that balanced market that we talk about, sort of the 3-month supply, it's kind of cool to see all of these different data points pointing to the same exact thing. That being said, we're seeing more and more houses go under contract quicker. And so we are in the spring market. Like I know spring was this week. So the fact that we're just now seeing more and more people and other friends of ours checking in, talking about they're going to come to town this spring and summer, it holds true. We're seeing cash sales continue to pick up as well. About 35% of the sales we have right now are all cash. And so with that being said, they don't care about interest rates. Those people are like, hey, it's 100%, down payment, so I'm totally good. So we're seeing more and more of that stuff happen as well. Vantage says, hey, why are houses so high? Why home prices in Windermere area? Listen, there's not a lot of houses. Like Windermere proper is pretty much built out, and you're surrounded by some of the nicest lakes in all of Central Florida, and you're close to everything and have really great schools. And so because of that, pricing just continues to go up. I remember I was talking to somebody the other day, like my wife and I were looking at a teardown on one of the lakes, and 3 years ago it was like 1.2 million, and now that same teardown is like 2.5 million. They're just not making any more land, and it's super, super like great area with a lot of great amenities. And the fact that now everything's pretty much built out there, prices are just going to continue to go up. We're going to stay still, by the way. We're not buying a $2 million teardown. I'm not crazy. Just telling you that's what's going on. Sorry, going through here. DC Dunk says, hey, what's my favorite spot around Lake Nona for townhomes? I mean, so I own a townhome in Laureate Park. We do really well there in terms of an investment property. Other ones, I mean, you could always go Isle of Lake Nona by Pulte. It's a little bit less expensive and a little bit lower HOA. So if you're looking for a little bit more cash flow, Eagle Creek is also a good one to look at. They're sold out. There's no new construction there for townhomes in Eagle Creek, but you have no CDD there. So your taxes are a little bit lower. And then also, it's just super desirable, gated community and that kind of thing. You are going to pay more for those townhouses than over in Laureate Park. So some of it is a bit of a wash. But yeah, I think those are the three that I would look at if I were you. Vicken says, hey, Ken, how far is country part of Orlando quiet, peaceful from city? Huh. I mean, you could be in Orlando and still be in the country. Like if you want to, the city, if you will. If you go to like Christmas, that's technically part of the city of Orlando. You've got so much stuff on the east side that is like you would go through and it's cow pastures. Oh, there's still parts of Oviedo that I look at on the east side that are like, this seems like the country to me, and it's really far away. And then Lake County is still pretty fantastic. There's lots of places that are getting built up very fast, but over in like the Claremont area, Groveland, Mineola, there's still areas where you can get spaces with like 2, 3, 4 acres of land. We've got a listing in Claremont right now that I'm obsessed with. It's 3,700 square feet on almost 3 acres for 1.6 million. So if you don't want something that expensive, there's definitely other options, but there's pockets around town that are not super far from town that still give you feeling like more of a rural area. So great question. Bree says the peaceful country part, that's Mount Dora. That's right. Home with the Hibbert says thoughts on the Waterstone neighborhood. If you're talking about in Windermere, I think it's great. There's no HOA, right? You buy it because, well, there's an HOA. There's definitely an HOA, but it's more so gated and it's close to everything, close to Windermere Prep. There's a lot of things in there. Some of the houses there are a little hodgepodge. There's some like absolute gorgeous houses, some of them on the water, and other ones are not. They're interior. The lots there are great. The difference in pricing there is really that the HOA doesn't like, there's no amenity there. There's no clubhouse like there is in Keens Point or Isleworth. And so because of that, you're going to pay a little less for the homes as well. And it's small. It's like a quaint-ish neighborhood. All right, Pickles. So it says, can I recommend any good pizza places? I really miss Buddies and Jets. Okay, my friend. If you really miss, for one, I love the Old English D. You're like speaking to my heart. Go check out Sodo. Sodo. It's not SODO, which is the way that, but it's where it is. Hold on. show you. So it's Soto Square Pizza, voted best pizza in Orlando by the Orlando Sentinel. If you are into square pizza, this is your thing. A Detroit style experience. It's like home, man. It's like Jets for sure. It's actually really good. Sauce, it's hard to beat. Yeah, anyways, that's where I'd say. Leave it there. They win if you're looking for the Jet style pizza. Grace says, did I see that Orlando was voted #1 for attracting sports? I did. Sports events, right? So like you've got the Pro Bowl and that sort of thing. It makes sense. And I wish that some of that stuff would stick with like football and NFL. I wish we would get a few more sports teams here. Baseball and football. If we get baseball and football, like we're all in. And like I'm a huge Magic fan if you haven't paid attention to it. And they're doing extremely well. And every time I go, the games seem fuller and fuller. And that happens when the team's doing well. But I think that Orlando could be a really cool sports team, especially that there's more people moving here that are staying here instead of it being such a like transitory town. So I think it's so good. Fallon says that Sal's has the best pizza per our New York clients. It's insanely good off Daryl Carter. So if you're into it, let's see. Home with the Hillers says that I have a home in Waterstone when I win the lottery. Listen, Florida, it's like Powerball is I think up to $900 million, almost $1 billion. So if you win, make sure you reach out. I've gotten multiple lottery winners as clients, and I'm all about it. I'm so about it. All right, I think we're wrapping up. Martin just checked in from Illinois. Appreciate it. We got almost 200 people watching live. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. It does help kind of push us out in the algorithm. I know tonight we talked really real estate heavy and not so much some of the other stuff. So I appreciate you sticking in with me tonight. I appreciate your questions. And always, if you are looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, we help both of you. So we're here to help whenever the time comes. Make sure you reach out, theorlandoreal.com/YouTube. And I hope you guys have an amazing start to the spring. Get out there, enjoy the weather. Talk soon.